Today on Personal Tutor, this one was interesting. Sorry, this is from another day that I was going to put it up, but I can't bring myself to do it. So, Deep Dream Generator, which is good, but I have put in a prompt saying create a YouTube thumbnail image, and I put in the pixel dimensions, ratio, size of an image that represents the AI fool, and this is what I got. So, very interesting. On a young, beautiful looking woman represents an AI fool, and you can see the very strange. Um, I'm not even sure it's a language up there. So this is the problem with text image generators. It's definitely the problem with what we call hallucinations. I mean, has it been programmed to anytime you refer to the word fool that it's a female? So I didn't actually do the video and put it up as a thumbnail, just I couldn't bring myself to do that. And it comes to the question of today. So in regard to something that has come up because of a particular film on Netflix, and a lot of people are talking about toxic masculinity. But like, what is toxic masculinity? And what I would kind of why is that an issue now? Was it always there? Is it more prevalent now? Or is it because of social media? So it refers to harmful behaviors and attitudes traditionally associated with masculinity that can be damaging to both men themselves and to others around them. And that's a really interesting point when we look at someone like the Tates. They're very damaging to the men who watch it. And that's really, really sad. And I'm not sure if, and it's not just younger men, if they understand that they're being manipulated so that the Tates can make money. So it's important to understand that this concept doesn't imply all masculinity is toxic. I think that's a very good point, but rather identifies specific patterns that could be problematic. So this is kind of how you identify toxic masculinity. Emotional suppression. Um, so that's a really good one, where kind of men are expected that they shouldn't cry, they shouldn't be vulnerable, they shouldn't be sad, or they shouldn't have fear. And of course, both men and women have all of these different emotions, and suppressing that can cause serious issues down the road. So, something to be aware of. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Every guy and girl before you has been vulnerable, everyone's been sad, everyone's been frightened. It's actually part of kind of growing up that you learn to deal with those emotions and that you learn to cope with them. Aggression as the primary conflict resolution tool, and we see a major increase in kind of aggressive language, aggressive comments, etc. Avoidance of anything perceived as feminine or weak. And there's nothing wrong. You can't be strong in everything. Obviously, I'm female, so I'm saying this, but I do think guys just need to hear that from girls sometimes, that, it's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Rigid adherence to traditional gender roles. You know, everybody's different. You just, be who you want to be. Don't inflict harm on others. Find your place that's happy, the things that you like doing without causing harm to others. Don't be listening to stupid rules and regulations. Measuring your self-worth primarily through dominance, sexual conquest, or physical strength. I think that's self-explanatory how ridiculous it is. And that's the problem, is I think that guys who think toxic masculinity is the way forward don't realize how the rest of the world view them, and it's not them, it's what they're being taught, and that other people just don't believe that that is the way guys should be. Risk-taking behavior to prove masculinity. Yeah, and that can come from a sort of business point of view, being a risk taker, and resistance to seeking help, particularly for mental health. So, particularly for any young people, during COVID, there are major issues in regard to mental health. The pressures that younger people have are phenomenal. And just learning to talk, is really good. Finding someone you trust, can be a guy, can be a girl, can be anyone, but someone that you can open up to, and to prevent kind of going down that pathway in the first place, because mental health issues, if you don't have good mental health, you really don't have anything. Um, is there a rise in toxic masculinity? Um, it'd be interesting to know statistically, kind of give me stats on that. And that's where you want to back up information so that you know what you're getting is true. Um, there is a rise, and it's a complex question without a straightforward answer. Okay, so we're getting some information, increased awareness and discussion. There's a very significant in public discourse in this regard around 2016, 2018. Conflicting trends. Some research suggests certain traditionally toxic behaviors have generally decreased, while digital expressions of aggression have definitely increased in online spaces. It's kind of funny. I always think that, if you were standing next to your friend or your family member or a neighbor, you wouldn't be screaming abuse the way people do in online behavior. And it's kind of because you're not visible. I think people think it's okay. Cultural backlash. Some researchers note that periods of gender equality progress are often followed by resistant movements. So I think there's an element of truth in that, where we have seen an increase in kind of women in the workplace and equality, and often people, males can feel, oh, they're taking my job, as opposed to, actually it's brilliant when you have that, kind of shared progression, either in a relationship or in a work environment. It can be hugely beneficial because men and women bring different elements to the workspace and can be hugely complementary. And then you've got generational shifts. So younger generations often show more openness to emotional expression, which is great, and rejection of rigid gender norms. So I would have felt that that was the direction it was going, and yet we see quite a swing back over the last kind of 5, maybe even 10 years, just kind of visibly coming aware. And you just wonder, those kind of kids that were 12 or 13 and became exposed to it, when they reach kind of a kind of more mature place in their late 20s, and they start settling down in relationships and maybe even having families, do they understand how they were manipulated by people who just wanted to make money on advertising? So has social media been a cause for this rise? Okay, and we'll see what it says, if it is responsible for it. An amplifier, algorithmic driven content, extreme rewards, and this is going to be a problem going forward. It rewards extreme viewpoints and it rewards inflammatory content. I'm kind of amazed that we see the EU doing this, but not so much in America, that there's not more regulation in that regard. Echo chambers, influencers and content creators that promote hyper masculine personas, anonymity, which is what we talked about, and some platforms have become recruitment ground for communities promoting these kind of masculine ideas. So as a spotlight, social media has made previously private behaviours more visible to broader audiences. Interactions that once occurred behind closed doors are now documented and shared, and the permanence of digital content means these behaviours can be studied and analysed more carefully. Okay, interesting. So going back to our apparently female, is now, we might be kind of create, let's see what it does, a YouTube image of a young male that represents, let's see what we come up with, this toxic masculinity, and see how it gets on with that. So quite frightening that the other image that it generated. Now, Deep Dream Generator can be good. All of them can be good. And just sometimes you get this curveball where you're looking at it going, what the hell is that? So I did find that this was quite a good text to image generator. It's taking a long time for this image, so we might end up with this one and see if we get a backlash on it. So when you choose this video, you will either get my representation of an AI fool, which is a beautiful looking female, or you will find out what toxic masculinity is represented.